Good
Well, my
old air
friend,
guitar. Isn't that music? It just gets you pumped. It makes you want to
right?
talk about football. You know what I'm saying? How
Every
you
week,
doing, Trevor?
everything NFL every week, my friend. Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm Eric. That's Trevor. Can't wait to get this show started.
We are live. Okay, a little earlier this week, due to some scheduling conflicts, but nonetheless, we are going to bring you some of your favorite football content and some immaculate grids. So we'll get to that later. But anyway, first of all,
Immaculate
um,
grid. What's the record in that, by the way, Trev?
so we are currently. I'll throw it on the ticker here. Eric currently has a slim. I'm going to say slim, 3-1 lead. We
I
will.
mean,
We'll
if
see
my
if I
math
can.
is correct, I have a 75% win percentage right now.
I'm not very math savvy, so that's on you, my friend. But we'll see. We'll get to that here. Anyway, on to big news in the NFL this week. I'm going to lead the show off with this. Big news in Louisiana. New Orleans Saints quarterback Derek Carr is dealing with an apparent shoulder injury. They're saying, according to Adam Schefter, his year could be, or not Adam Schefter, I misquote there. They are saying that his shoulder could put his season in jeopardy this year. Do you hear anything about this at this point?
I mean, I've seen where the beginning, at least the beginning of his season is in jeopardy for sure. I think it
So,
depends. I think it depends if he actually gets the surgery or not, and obviously how he recovers from it.
so if you're the Saints, right, does that force you to take a quarterback in this draft? I know they had Spencer Rattler last year, not the best year, obviously. It wasn't expected to be a starter necessarily, but where does that put you?
I mean, I think you kind of got to weigh your options. Like, do you think bringing in a rookie is the right move? Because I mean, honestly, I think it is because look, they're in a spot right now where Derek Carr is probably the bridge quarterback. Can we agree on that?
Oh, definitely. I think
So
his time's up. Like they signed him to that extension this year, but it wasn't like a hey, you're going to be the guy for a long time extension.
yeah, and I mean, maybe it depends on who's available at 9. Like if 9 rolls around and there's a quarterback there that they thought they didn't even have a prayer at getting at number 9, maybe they snatch him up and roll the
Right. And
dice
like,
on him.
so I think the Saints now are in a position where and that's going to be completely interdependent on their quarterback or their quarterback situation, but their coach, is Kellen Moore going to want to potentially move up? Now I see the Saints as being a team that could be in the mix to trade up, depending on what they think might happen with Shedeur Sanders. I think it's if Cam Ward gets past the first pick somehow, then they definitely should be trading up. And I really think that they could be a team that's going to make an aggressive move to do that. But I don't know. There's still that chance, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. There is that chance that Shedeur Sanders could slide in this draft.
Who's 2? The Browns? I could
Yeah.
definitely. So if Cam Ward does not go 1, I could definitely see the Browns moving back. And honestly, I think that'd
Mhm.
be a good move for the Browns.
Right, because you
You
can get more capital,
Especially
obviously.
if they're only going to, like you said, 9. Like,
Right.
that's really not that big of a drop.
You're staying in the top 10 and it's still a pretty balanced draft. So you get some good options there potentially. We got a lot of guys hanging around at 10. I mean, we talked about it last week during our mock draft. I mean, you got a guy like Tyler Warren that could potentially fall that far. Um, you have options if you're the Browns at this point, but I think it's all interdependent on what the Titans do at number 1. And I know they've said that they're not for certain what they're going to do. They could go and take Abdul Carter right away because he fills a need for them. And I think if it were up to me, or if it's my opinion, um, I think it's a 2-horse race for the first overall pick. I think it's Cam Ward, or I think it's going to be Abdul Carter. And I'll be interested to see kind of how that shapes the entire rest of the first round, let alone the rest of the draft.
It's gonna be interesting because, I mean, everybody's saying it's like a slam dunk on Cam Ward going number 1. I mean, if he doesn't, shocker, it's gonna surprise the whole NFL again for another year.
True, and I don't think that I mean, my opinion, I don't think it is a true slam dunk. Like I mean, yeah, there's a lot of upside with him, but I really don't see any clear-cut number 1. I mean, honestly, and I'm a bit of a Penn State homer, Abdul Carter is probably the best prospect in this draft in terms of, like, top 10 talent. I also like that guy, out of, Alabama, LSU, that tackle. the offensive tackle. What is
Is it,
his name?
is it Will?
Yeah, Will Anderson, I think it is. No, it's not Will
Uh,
Anderson.
I know who you
Why is
mean.
this escaping my mind?
I don't
It
know.
always does. It's Will Campbell. Yeah. Will Campbell. I had to pull his name up. I completely brain fart. It's Monday. But anyway, yeah, Will Campbell I could see, being another like plus prospect, I think, in this draft. I like that defensive lineman out of Michigan, Graham. He's pretty solid. So there's a couple options there. Now I don't think they're worthy of number one pick. I think, like I said, it's a two horse race there. So
No, but like we were saying about, the Browns, if they wanted to trade back, they're they don't have a need for a quarterback.
no, and looking in
So
the top 10 with them, they got tons of options like
right,
Jody
well,
Barron
and also
or
just to
Jade
jump
Barron.
back from 2 to 9, I mean, they're gonna get a plethora of picks either next year or this year or a combination of both.
Yeah, and they're not a team that's necessarily in a situation where they're rebuilding. Like, yeah, there's some holes on their roster, but I wouldn't consider the Browns like a dumpster fire like they were maybe 10 years ago.
No, I mean, their
They're
problem
a
is
competitive team.
they have a boatload of money sunk into a quarterback that's really not playing for them.
Yeah.
Um,
Not efficient either. Like, definitely not.
right.
There's
Uh,
the thing that escapes me with the draft is just there's so many question marks in the top 10. Like, it's really hard to gauge, like, any surefire picks outside of, like, maybe your first 3 or 4.
but I mean, just to go back to answer your question, I mean, I do think that, once pick 9 comes around, even if Carr isn't going out with that, like if he isn't following through with that surgery and he's not missing significant time, I still think that that's in the back of their head, like, oh man, Carr could get hurt again. We could, really be without a quarterback. Like
Right? Like,
maybe
the
we
writing's on
should
the
take
wall.
one. Yeah, like maybe we should take one, even if Carr is our guy this year. You know,
Mhm.
if they see someone they really like in this draft,
Yeah, because
just scoop them up.
even since Thursday, quarterback in the free agency is starting to trickle. It's coming to a trickle. Drew Lock, I'm pretty sure based on what I see here, Drew Lock has re-signed with the Seahawks. So Drew Lock is back to being a Seahawk. He is going to be Sam Darnold's backup this year. Um, I
I didn't really understand that.
well, I think that they
I like Drew Lock. I think did okay. I'm not saying he did great, but I just don't think that Sam Darnold is that much of an upgrade to have both of them on your roster.
they wanted him for experience, that little bit of like experience with the depth. Yeah,
Well,
obviously
they're hoping they get out of him what Minnesota got out of him,
right,
but
I think it's kind of like a backup, like a two backup like quarterback room situation. Like I mean, as good of a year as he had last year, he's a benefactor of the system that they have in Minnesota. I don't
oh,
think Sam
absolutely,
Darnold's going to go out to Seattle and light the world on fire. And I also
I don't
think you're
either.
going to see like it's all system quarterback dependent. Like Gino, I think Gino's going to go to Vegas and he's going to have a subpar year. This might be the decline we finally see from this little like
How do,
magical Gino run.
how do you think Sam Darnold was feeling? He's like, oh, I'm going to Seattle. I got DK Metcalf. Next thing you know, DK Metcalf traded to the
Yeah,
Steelers.
bam. See you later, Tyler Lockett. See you later. Jackson Smith-Njigba is gonna be your guy. Good
Don't
luck,
get me
kid.
wrong. Smith and Jigba's good. Like he's a great receiver, up and coming. Like he's kind of proven already,
But,
but
is he really an
he
alpha though?
I mean, that's yet to be seen. I guess we'll find out this year because
Dude,
there's no one else there, man.
I mean, do you really think like so you're throwing the ball to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson every week, and now you're throwing the ball to just to
And
JSN
Don't
and
forget about Hawkinson too.
Noah Fan yeah, right,
I
Hawkins and
mean,
Noah Fant.
Noah Fant's good, but
Right,
hey,
but
shifting gears a little bit while we're talking about receivers, this one kind of flew under the radar. Terrence Marshall Jr. signs a 1-year deal with the Eagles.
depth piece there, man.
He was, I mean, he's a pretty young guy, and he was in a bad situation in Carolina. Um, if you remember correctly, he was a stud at LSU.
Mhm.
It's
Definitely.
definitely a
So
good addition to the Eagles' offense.
right, so they're trying to attack, like, obviously keeping it in a budget-friendly situation, they're trying to cut down that spending, spend a lot less, and I see it as a good move. I mean, you still have Dotson, obviously, and then you have Smitty and Brown, but I mean, after that, it's like there could always be an injury, so you're always looking to kinda supplement that position, and I like that move. I agree with you. I think it was a good depth signing, and I look forward to seeing him compete make that roster. Just one thing to allude to also with quarterback news, right? Just shifting the gears back just a little bit. The Chiefs went out and made 2 under the radar moves here. Do you want to hear who they signed for their backups? Gardner
Let's
Minshew
hear
on a
it.
1-year, $1.17 million deal, and then Bailey Zappi on a $1.1 million deal for a year. They went out
That
and
might be the best backup quarterback room I've ever seen.
that is a solid situation, like, for them to back up Mahomes,
Like
and they
if
did it on
both
the
of
cheap.
those, if either one of them backed up for my team, I'd be okay with that.
I know that Gardner Minshew is pretty, like, washed. I don't say washed, but, didn't have the greatest year last year,
He's a
but
solid backup.
to get him on, like, a $1.1 million deal, that's pennies on the dollar, man. That's solid.
It's kind of crazy because that's not even veteran minimum, is it?
No,
Like,
I'm not sure what the veteran minimum is. They would have had to have paid that. That might be like a mil, honestly, or like 1.1 at this point. Another one sneaky, Trey Lance signs with the Chargers. That's I'm
that's actually really interesting because I
I
don't
mean,
know.
so you have Harbaugh there, you know what I mean? And he's more of a traditional offense kind of guy, whatever. Run hard, play pro action. Um, you have Lance there, but they're one injury of Herbert away. Like you've seen the injuries, these last couple of years where he misses a couple games, those little windows. I mean, they could give Trey Lance up as an opportunity, but he also has Taylor Heineke there as well.
See, that's a guy, Trey Lance, that if I'm the Saints, I'm going to trade them a late round pick and just try to trade for him and get him on my team. Because that's a guy he's young, he's unproven, he was never really in a great situation. Why not just roll the dice on him?
Right? Make a trade. Well, you could do something else and not make a trade. This is my sleeper pick for the Saints. I'm calling it now. I'll put a nickel on it. And if I get it right, you double that nickel and give me back a dime. My extra point, this is the start of a new segment where each week we give our extra point. I have one extra point to make. Desmond Ridder is going to be a Saint by training camp.
Like starting quarterback?
He will be their backup
just-
quarterback, and he will start in Carr's absence.
Okay.
Desmond Ridder. You heard it here first.
I mean, if you really want to give me a dime, that bad.
I mean, what do you think? Where else do you go? I mean, so Flacco's off the market. Rodgers is probably on some ayahuasca journey, like we talked about last
we
week.
kind of talked about this before the show. Why is everyone throwing the towel in on Carson Wentz?
I don't think that's a bad move, honestly. I said this before the show, he turns the ball over at a very high clip. However, there is definite arm talent there, and there is experience. I mean, if you're just looking to get by,
he also played every time he's put in the game, they're scoring touchdowns too. Like, yes, he does turn the ball over, he makes some mistakes, but when you throw the ball a lot, you're going to throw or turn the ball over a lot more than,
right.
if you throw half the amount.
Right, and he's not like a superstar, but he'll get you by, right? I'm not gonna lie, there's actually some really interesting signings here in free agency for quarterbacks. I'm looking. The more I look at this, the more it gets a little like wonky. So the Jaguars signed Nick Mullins on a 2-year, $4.5 million deal to go to Jacksonville from Minnesota, but then Mac Jones ends up signing with the 49ers for 2 years, $8.4 million.
Wow.
A year. Or no,
Tim commented, he said Wentz should go to Pittsburgh.
Honestly,
that's interesting. Why not? Why not?
Pittsburgh put themselves in an extremely tough predicament. You have guys like Wentz as your only option, in my opinion. Like it's very slim. It's very slim on who is left. Like,
and hear me out. I mean, think of him in Pittsburgh's system. I actually think that works.
Well, it could. I mean, that's why I'm kind of like.
But that's his style. It's pro style. Like they pound the ball, set up the play action.
That's why I'm kinda, like, stuck
That's
on the whole him and Rodgers train. Like, Rodgers could seriously end up a Steeler, and I think that's the move. But if he decides to retire, you got Carson Wentz, Easton Stick, Teddy Bridgewater, CJ Beathard, Tyler Huntley, Brett Rypien, Jeff Driscoll, and Desmond Ritter. Those are the quarterbacks that are left outside of your rookies. This
and
could
some
go from, like,
yeah.
nightmare to, like, absolute catastrophe for the Steelers.
I mean, I'm assuming they're gonna draft somebody.
But even so, like, do you really have a viable option outside of, like, where they sit in the draft? Like, you're putting a lot of you're putting a ton of emphasis
Where
on, like,
do
Jackson
we
Dart,
know where
Sam Ehlinger.
Pittsburgh is?
Hmm?
Do we know where they are in the draft off the top of your
Pittsburgh. Well, let me take a look here. I can actually pull it up and tell you here real quick. I'm pretty
chat?
sure they're sitting, like, 18th or
Chat, why don't you
something like
tell
that.
us what
Yeah, anybody know in the
who do you
chat?
think Pittsburgh's gonna take and where are they drafting right now? Help us out. Also, if you're on TikTok, spam that like button or any of the platforms. Like, share, follow. We appreciate it.
Where is I wish I could see the list
I
here.
mean, they made the playoffs, so I'm assuming they're probably in the 20s.
I always forget that they made the playoffs. Who did they lose to in the playoffs?
My God, it didn't even happen that long ago, and I don't even remember.
Picking a Monday was a rough day for us.
Right?
Not
Mondays are always rough.
I didn't get to ESPN enough this week. The Steelers are at 21, and I want it's funny to say this. I look at the mock draft I'm seeing here. Shedeur Sanders is being linked to them in some of these mock drafts. I don't think he's gonna fall that far. No,
I don't think
you
so
know what?
either.
Let's piggyback into that, actually.
That would be a prime spot for him to go, though.
So where I mean,
See
what's
what
your
I did there?
what is your official prediction on what happens to Shedeur Sanders?
Man, there's so much that could happen with him. Hold on, I'm looking at the draft board here.
I don't think I don't think he I don't think Pittsburgh drafts a quarterback in the first round. I don't think he falls that far either. Tim makes a good point. Pittsburgh will either draft a quarterback or running back. I think they go position player over him. I don't think they go quarterback in the first round. But it's gonna be interdependent on what they decide to do with Aaron Rodgers. I think that
So
they go ahead.
here's a team that I think could take a quarterback. I don't know if it'll be Shador. What about Miami?
Well, you do have
I think they're on the verge of trading Tyreek Hill. And
I don't
then
think they go
if
go
that
ahead.
happens, you hit the reset button on a quarterback.
I don't think they do because they just signed Zach Wilson to a deal to back up to Tua. And Zach Wilson's probably one of the more, like, popular backup quarterbacks in the league. Let me just look at the
Popular
deal
for
they signed him
who?
to. Well, he's a pretty solid backup. I mean, he has 2 years of NFL experience. When you think of all the NFL backups out there, he has, if more than your average quarterback.
I mean, he does have playing time for sure. But
That's what I'm saying.
was it good playing time? No.
He showed signs though. He had a couple flashes. I think with the right system, he's a good backup. But I think that's it. I think that's the length of it. I don't think that Miami goes for a quarterback, but I could be wrong. There's been crazier things that could happen, and Sanders does definitely have that, like
I think they need a quarterback just because. Like, I'm
the
not saying they move on from Tua this year, but like
mhm,
Tua is definitely not the guy they thought he was. He's always playing, that risky game with an injury, like literally almost every week in the NFL.
right. He's a
Um,
toothpick away from, like, being concussed for the rest of his life.
right. And it's like when you're a franchise and you want to compete for a Super Bowl, you can't have that.
Right. Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's a good point. They could go and, started to invest in that future early and maybe press that reset button a little earlier than we thought.
Well,
Garrett said, "What's going on, guys?" Oh, sorry, go ahead.
especially if they do trade Tyreek, which there's a lot of speculation on that. Um, why wouldn't you just hit the reset button at the same time you're doing that? Especially if they trade him, they're probably going to get a lot of picks for him.
right?
including maybe a first rounder. Like I'm not sure what
Well, and
kind of value they
I said the other day to my friend when we were hanging out, I said about Tyreek, the whole situation that's going on. I think the best situation for Tyreek is to go back to the Chiefs. I think a trade sending him back to Kansas City is probably the best thing that saves this situation for him and all the bad media that comes his way. And it's weird to say this, but it's because he'll be in a wide receiver room with a lot of troublemakers also. You know what I mean? That'll kind of be like the MO there for a year or two. And, to get himself back into like a respectable standpoint in terms of like fans and like
right?
league wide respect, I think going back to the Chiefs is a good point for him. And I think it's a great move for the Chiefs because the Chiefs are lacking that like solid playmaker weapon on offense,
Could you imagine him and Xavier Worthy? I mean, you literally
right?
have the 2 fastest receivers in the NFL on the same
Yeah,
team.
don't forget about Rashi Rice either,
I really don't know how you would defend that. It's like this year, just watching them, all them defenses catered to Xavier Worthy. They were like blanketing him because they know that he can get behind the defense. You have
right?
Tyreek Hill. You can't do that.
Well, and not to mention
Can't do it on both receivers.
you also have a maestro running your offense with Andy Reid, so he's gonna put them in positions to win, and that just giving him more weapons like that, it's scary to think about. I mean, I really as an Eagles fan, I hope Tyreek Hill doesn't go back,
Right.
but
Because then, oh, by the way, like you said, you have Rasheed Rice. And then, oh, by the way, we have Travis Kelce. And
yeah,
oh, by the way, we also have a running back in Isaiah Pacheco.
yep.
It's like, I don't even want to think about that again.
So just to address our chat here, Garrett said, "What's going on, guys? What's up, Garrett? Thanks for tuning in, man.
Yeah, what's up,
Being
Garrett?
here." Tim said, "Miami has 0 cap space. Someone is definitely out before the end of the season or they trade by the deadline this year." I think
That-
it's gonna have to come in by way of a trade. I mean, you could go and, pick up somebody on the cheap, like or draft, Sanders, something like that, but I think there's too much depth at quarterback. Now, how do I say this without sounding like a jackass? So, I don't think the quarterback situation this year in the draft is very strong. There's some flyer options that could be good. Like, I think, your round 2 quarterbacks won't be half bad, but I don't think that Ward and I don't think that Sanders are like top options, right? So I could definitely see Miami going like quarterback later rounds, like 2 or 3, instead of drafting somebody in the first round when you have other positions that you might need to fill.
That's kind of how I feel about New Orleans. Like, do I think they could potentially take a quarterback in the first? I do. However, I could see them also sitting where they're at, and then the second round getting like a Quinn Ewers or something like that.
Like taking a quarterback next year. Yeah, Quinn Ewers, I don't know why he's not getting enough love in this draft.
He was one of the top prospects going into the year, and then just dropped
So
off. I'm not sure.
so him and Jackson Dart. Now Jackson Dart's a little less polished, but they're definitely not bad by any terms. You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
There's solid options.
look what Jackson Dart did for Ole Miss. I mean, look, they were right outside the playoff, looking in a very stacked
Mhm.
SEC conference. So it's not like they were an unranked team or something. They're right there.
Right, like, Jalen Milroe's still out there. Now he's really raw, but let me look here. You have Will Howard,
See, that's
Riley Leonard
somebody.
from Notre Dame. Now he's not as polished of a thrower, but
Milrose, somebody I could see going to Pittsburgh,
you know
whether
who I
it's
think sneaky?
second round or whatever.
You know who think is sneaky in terms of size? It's what throws him off, but I think Dylan Gabriel could be a really, like, interesting quarterback depending on where he goes. So I got to go this year to the Big Ten championship. I drove out to,
He got a
Indianapolis.
cannon on him.
Just watching was see, here's the thing, they say about his size, right? His height, you know what I mean, his weight, even his hand size is kinda like outliers. I watched him throw during warm-ups, and so the way Oregon was doing it, they would start close to the end zone, like, they'd work their end zone throwing and then kinda move back and work their way to bigger throws. He was able to stand on, like, the 30 and 40-yard line, and I was extremely impressed with the pop he had on the ball when he would throw across the field, back corners of the end zone, like, from almost 50 yards out,
Wow.
which In reality,
Like almost
it don't
just like a touch pass kinda.
well, right, it don't seem like much, but he had a ton of zip on the ball, and, like, watching it live really kinda put it in perspective because he was throwing right in the other side of the field from Drew Aller, who's gonna be a top flight quarterback prospect next year in terms of arm talent. I think Dylan Gabriel could be probably one of those, you know, potential, like, sleepers, you know what I mean? Maybe not start for the first 2 years, but gets a chance and ends up playing really well.
Yeah, Garrett said, Will Howard, sleeper pick. I think that guy can be developed into a great quarterback. I think so too, honestly. He kinda reminds me a lot of like a Kirk Cousins. I
Mhm.
think he could kinda be something like that.
So one thing I wanna ask Garrett, because Garrett's an Ohio State fan in here. Now, you agree with me or not, because I wanted to make this point. Do you think that Kyle McCord could be a good transition to the NFL? I mean, led the country in passing last year, statistically. Was, big guy, 6'3", 220, strong arm, throws a lot. Had a little bit of, drama with the departure from Ohio State, but Garrett, you specifically, do you think that Kyle McCord could have the arm talent to transition well to the NFL in the right situation?
I mean, my opinion on that is no.
Why
I
so?
think I mean, when he was in the high pressure moments at Penn State, Ohio State, it just seemed like the pressure got to him. I don't know if that's something you can really teach.
It may be something they could fix in the right, like, that's why I say, like, the right system, like, could he be in a position where
Like he went to Syracuse and like
it
you
helps
said,
him?
led the nation in passing, but he's also not playing as big of schools as he was in Ohio State.
Right,
Um,
right. Which is, of course, why he's ranked lower, obviously, he's probably a
it's
4th or 5th round
but
talent.
listen, these guys come out of college, it's so hard to rank. I mean, or so hard to project what's going to happen to him. I mean, look at Tom Brady. I know he's like the
Mhm,
outlier, but like he wasn't that great at Michigan. You know what I mean? He
mhm.
gets drafted, what, sixth round or whatever in the NFL draft and turns out to be the greatest of all time.
So, Tim said, "Do you think Pittsburgh would pursue Dak? I think Dak is done after the season in Dallas unless they trade him before the season. They did just pick up Milton and speculation they have interest in Watt."
Dallas
Um,
can't afford to get rid of him.
I don't well, they Dallas just actually signed him to a pretty big extension.
Yeah, his penalty's like a couple 100 million.
Well, they literally just signed him to he's so currently, he's the highest paid quarterback, I think, per
Hmm.
year,
And I,
like, annually ever of all
and
time.
there's a lot of guaranteed money.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
just look at the details on that. His
his penalty
2025
would
cap
be
hit is
crazy.
are you ready for this? His 2025 cap hit is 50.5 million.
Yeah, but what's their penalty like if they trade him? Because that's
Let me
like
take a look
that's
here.
like basically your whole contract they have to
So
pay him.
this so just this past year, 2024 in the fall, he signed a 4-year, $240 million contract extension, including 80 million in signing bonus and 231 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
So if they were to cut him, uh, his cap hit this year would be 20 or 50.5. His cap hit next year is 74 million.
Yeah. You're looking at a couple
Yeah.
100 million.
So you're probably their potential out for him, right? If they were to get out of that contract, would be after the 2027 season before his last year, they would cut him and have 49 million in dead cap. They'll have him on the books all the way through 2029.
Garrett said, no, he has a terrible attitude and shows no leader skills when watching at Ohio State. So he's going back to McCord here, back to
Mhm.
if he would translate or whatever. When it came to big moments in games, he had no clutch motor to get it done. Yeah, I
S
agree. I
so that's
really
kinda
do.
echoing what Eric said. Yeah, and I never really, like, followed much into him in his time at Ohio State, but, like, I just thought, like, that arm talent, like, could it be something where they potentially work with the guy? You know what I mean? And maybe find a hidden gem in the draft like that.
I think it's his what the heck do they call that? It's not like the stuff that you can't teach.
Mhm, the intangibles.
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
Yep, yep, you can't teach the intangibles. So Tim said, I've only ever seen one successful Ohio State quarterback in the NFL, and that's being CJ Stroud. And then Garrett said, Justin Fields, Tim is well in the NFL, just needs a team and staff behind him. I think that Justin Fields is a great option for the Jets. Of all the quarterbacks that they probably could have signed in the offseason, I may not be as popular saying this, but I really think that he was a huge get for them. I think Justin Fields has a lot of good football, and I also think his best football is in front of him. And I think the Jets are a perfect scenario for him because there's a pretty good supporting cast around him.
I agree with that. I think he got to get in the right system and have like an actual offensive line and some receivers built around him. His situation in the Bears, I mean, let's be honest, no one's blaming Justin Fields for that. And then
Well,
Tim's
go
go ahead.
ahead. No,
Go
you're
ahead.
good.
I was just going to move on. So if you had something to say,
Well, one thing I want to say is just like their their current like supporting cast around him right now is pretty solid. They have Brees Hall, obviously. You have Garrett Wilson to mesh with. There's a lot of options there.
stacked defense, that always helps a quarterback when typically when you have a stacked defense, you're not working out of your own end zone every drive. You're have some breathing room, put in some
Right.
better situations.
Right. And I think the Jets were a lot better than a lot of people gave them credit for. That's one thing I want to say. I really think that like last year their roster was way better than their performance. And I think a lot of it falls on the bad media presence with like Aaron Rodgers, all that stuff going on. The Robert Saleh, he got fired because of Aaron Rodgers, and I'm gonna stick by that. I don't think that
Oh, he
guy's a
did.
bad coach.
He's not a bad coach, but he did have a couple years to kind of get it turned around. And I don't think they wanted to give him like a 10-year stint to get it
Right.
turned around to where they wanted to.
Yeah,
But definitely not a
definitely.
bad coach. But going off of what Tim said, he's only seen one successful Ohio State quarterback, and that being CJ Stroud. Look, I'm a big believer in CJ Stroud, but he is definitely not a proven quarterback.
Mhm.
He had one good year, and last year was not good.
We'll see.
I
This
think
year,
a
I
lot
think
of
will
it,
be a big one.
like this year, of course, Nico Collins went down, Stephon Diggs went down. He had like his whole offensive line got hurt. Of course, that stuff's not his fault, but
Right.
um, yeah, like you said, time will tell, as Trevor always says, and we'll learn a lot from CJ Stroud or about CJ Stroud this year.
And just to allude to what Corey said, Justin Fields had a great start with the Steelers. They just chose Wilson to do years in a success. I honestly thought that they were in a tough spot with those two quarterbacks to make that decision. I would have stuck with Fields as good as he was playing early, and it wasn't necessarily a bad decision to go with Russ there, but no, I think that's a really good point to make because there is signs or like there's situations where Justin Fields shows just how talented he is, and once he gets in the right situation, man, oh man, it's gonna look good.
How
And
old
Garrett
is
said
how old is Justin Fields now?
Justin Fields is probably only like 26.
Yeah, I was thinking like 26, 27,
Yep, he's
something like
26.
that.
Yep, 26 years old.
Garrett says, "Can't wait to watch Fields connect to Garrett Wilson again. That will be fun to watch."
That's gonna be like Garrett's like second favorite team. That
I bet
they're
you
also
Garrett
in
Wilson
green,
is
so
frothing at the mouth right now. He's
right.
like, "Oh my god, like I get my college homie back."
Yep. That's gonna be a solid connection, I think. And that division now the Bills are a powerhouse, don't get me wrong, right? But I really think that the Jets could make some noise and maybe potentially be like
Hey,
a
Jets weren't far off
comfort
from
team.
beating the Bills last year.
Definitely. And they just gotta play their ball, you know what I mean? That's kinda what's gonna be interesting. That will be an interesting division, and I can't wait to talk about that in our league previews here after the draft, but that'll be interesting. But moving on, any other points you wanna make with that?
No, I think we got them all covered.
Talking about top 10 and movement and things like that, one guy I wanna talk about, I'm interested, and he's intrigued me all year, historic season. Is Ashton Genty worth a top 10 pick? We talk about running backs and the history of running backs in the top 10 over the years. Haven't been a ton of them, and a lot of them haven't been successful. What do you think? What do you think
Absolutely,
you think
absolutely.
he's worth it?
Yeah, I do. Maybe not a top 5, but a top 10 for
I
sure.
I I don't see him getting past the Raiders, personally.
I was actually looking at that, like, looking at the draft screen here to see the picks. I'm
Mhm.
thinking Raiders. I could even see him going to the Saints, honestly,
I think it's gonna depend on what team wants to invest in that. So, like
or the Bears. Look at the Bears at 10. I mean, what, they have Swift or wait, no, not Swift.
yeah, they
Yeah,
have I
DeAndre
think they
Swift.
still have
Yeah,
Swift. Yeah,
DeAndre
there's
Swift.
Swift and, oh, who's the other
Khalil
Raheem
Herbert.
or Khalil Herbert,
Is
not
that who it
Raheem
is?
Mostert. Yeah, Roshan Johnson, I think, still there.
Yeah, so, like, they have a couple young guns in there, and they have Swift. But let's be honest, none of them are an Ashton Genty.
Yeah, nobody's, like, necessarily
And
established.
I think that's kinda like the missing puzzle piece for them,
Mhm.
other than linemen.
So, yeah, they're definitely gonna need to add to the offensive line. But the one thing I wanna point out, running backs that were drafted in the first round, specifically the top 10, okay? You look at who panned out over the last, like, 20 years, 30 years, okay? So, in 2018, Saquon
Wait,
Barkley,
hold
2nd
on. Are you talking first round or, like, top 10
top
picks?
10. Top 10 picks in the first round.
Okay.
Running backs drafted within the top 10. You look at Saquon. So, one thing I wanna say about Saquon showed how, extremely talented he was prior to this year, and how he can pretty much carry a franchise, at least like the Giants, he carried them to the playoffs in 22. You really saw how great he was this year, and I really feel like I may not be popular.
When he had a team around him.
Yes. I don't think he would have had any kind of year close to this on any other, situation. Like, if he just stayed with the Giants, I think his whole career
I wouldn't say any other situation.
well, then right, let me reword that. If he goes back to the Giants, you know what I mean, or signs with somebody that's, not the Eagles or, say, the Broncos
How
offensive
about, like,
line.
if he doesn't sign with a team that's not a playoff team,
Right. I don't think you
basically?
talk about him in this light. I don't think he ever comes to that fruition of, like, a 2,000-yard season or, chases, like, an NFL MVP. Like, I don't think he goes to that level. But when you look at these running backs that were drafted in the top 10 prior, you had Zeke. Zeke had, like, similar years in terms of, dominant, lead the league in rushing. He's like a two-time rushing leader in the NFL. Leonard Fournette had a couple solid years, but you kind of more so remember him for his playoff time.
To kinda piggyback on Zeke, though, he also don't get me wrong, don't wanna take nothing away from him. He was when he first came into the league, he was a heck of a running back, but
Mhm,
he also got to play behind one of the greatest lines that we've probably seen in the game.
mhm.
Dallas had a phenomenal offensive line.
Well, for years too. They
Yeah.
had a for the better part of a decade. So right, so that goes even more to show you have Todd Gurley, you had Zeke. Todd
Ooh,
Gurley's another
yeah.
one that was excellent, best running back in the league for multiple years. Shame that injuries got to him. But prior to that, you had Trent Richardson, CJ Spiller in 2010.
Not even fair to Trent Richardson, though. Come on, man. He was on the Brownies.
Well, even so, like dude, you want to talk about a flop at running back, definitely a flop.
Yeah.
You get CJ Spiller, not really, didn't really translate to much.
He was kinda, like, mediocre, middle of the
He's a
pack.
better fantasy option than he was an actual player. Darren McFadden had a couple solid, like, okay years, but never really, like, turned
Again,
into
like
much.
you're saying, kinda like bad situation.
You're right, and, like, Reggie Bush is another one.
He got a
Um,
Super Bowl, though.
Ronnie Brown, let me look. So, okay, the last I think, like, if you're gonna compare last year, Saquon's season, to any of these running backs, minus, like, maybe Todd Gurley and Zeke, LaDainian Tomlinson's probably the most comparable back, and he was drafted in 2001. So, if Genty does go in the first round, top 10 like this, y the odds I'm not saying that this is, he's gonna do good, gonna do bad because of this, but the odds are against him statistically.
Yeah, because basically you'd have to go to a team that has
Right.
a good O-line,
So
and all the teams that basically have a high pick don't have a good O-line.
so you have guys like Travion Henderson, Quinshad Judkins that are gonna be available later in the draft, even Omarion Hampton. like in the late first round, is it really worth spending that on Genty and the chances that he could be a flop? You remember he did play at a Boise State.
You know where I really could see him going?
Where? Dallas.
Dallas.
Yep.
I really could. I
If
could
he
see that.
slides, I think it's gonna. If you're Dallas, I don't think Genty or Tyler Warren fall past.
All right, chat, help us out. Where do you guys think Genty's going to end up? What team's
Yeah,
going to draft him?
that's what we want to know, chat. We want to know where we're going to see Genty. Let's take our bets now. We'll talk about this next week when we're live while they're drafting drafting him. So if or maybe not, time will tell. But I mean, like, I don't know.
That would be a good pick for Dallas. It really would.
I'm not a huge fan of drafting a running back so early. It just doesn't like it. The chances are, odds are against you for it to pan out.
Yeah, but Javonte Williams, Garrett said Dallas picked up Javonte Williams. Yeah, but he ain't an Ashton Genty. He's not even close to being an Ashton Genty.
Right, I think, but he means the principle of just having, bodies in that running back room already.
And I agree, but that's right now, that's all they have is bodies. They don't have that main running back, that guy that's the bell cow that you're like, I feel comfortable handing it off to this guy 20 times,
See, and that's another thing. You see these running backs are getting drafted less and less in the first round. I think what you're seeing here is running backs. People are scared to draft running backs so early, right? Like Todd Gurley was a big instance of that. I don't say draft them early, but make them your bell cow. So if you have a bell cow running back, the odds are he's probably not going to be healthy, shorter down the road. Like you see more and more and more teams employing this two-back attack, so they look at Seattle. Kenneth Walker's a top flight running back, I think, in the NFL. He's probably top 10, in my opinion, maybe the later half top 10, but like they went out and got Zach Charbonnet, like on a whim, like a year after they drafted Kenneth Walker.
And look, I think he's probably going to the Raiders, and it's just because Pete Carroll freaking loves running backs, dude. For whatever reason, that dude will draft a running back every year.
Goes all the way. I mean, we were talking about Reggie Bush earlier. It goes all the way back to him and Lindell White
all the way
USC.
Back to the USC days.
Yeah, the juggernaut that they had there. And you think about it, like that could be. I think that's the likely landing spot. Yes, I agree. But if he passes the Raiders, he's going to mess a lot of people's draft boards up. I think that's what I'm interested in. Like, I kind of want to see it happen just to see where he goes. His numbers were gaudy. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous, the season that he put up. But enough to spin our tires on him. Any other points you want to make on Mr. Genty?
No. I think we got all our points out.
So one other thing I want to make a point on this year, and it's not draft related, but it could be draft related. And I think this actually solidifies something with the draft. Joe Flacco signs with the Browns again on a 1-year, $4 million deal worth up to $13 million with incentives. Per Adam Schefter. I got that one right this time. Good move, bad move? What kind of move is it, Eric?
I mean, it's not a bad move. Anytime you get a veteran quarterback in there as your, what is he, the second or third quarterback? I mean, get that experience in the building. $4 million's a drop in the pan for them guys. But yeah, I am reading. So I was reading articles, last week, and I remember seeing this last week. Kirk Cousins, they said, could land with the Browns. So I don't know what's going on.
I'm pretty sure Kirk Cousins is still under contract with the Falcons, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but there was like speculation.
He's not available.
Yeah, you're right, though. He is with the Falcons, but there's speculation that he could have landed at the Browns. So now because they got Flacco, does that mean, hey, they're probably not interested anymore? I don't know.
Well, so while I believe that speculation, I don't know if I want to believe the fact that the Browns even thought that they could do that, because if you look at the cap situation with Kirk Cousins, it's not cheap. They paid that guy. You want to talk about a couple weeks ago, and you said about backing up the Brinks truck? They backed up like the Brinks Noah's Ark and like dumped everything in Atlanta
Brinks
Stadium.
Noah's Ark.
I was trying to think of something really big, and scientists just said they found it somewhere around the world.
That would be really big.
Yeah,
And
it's a lot of money.
if the Brinks truck is on Noah's Ark, I guess we're trying to save money now. I don't know.
Well, if the Browns move for Kirk Cousins, they're definitely not saving money because his cap hit this year is the highest on the Falcons. It's $40 million.
I got something to talk about here. Can we just please, going back to Noah's Ark? Can we talk about the ageless wonder of Calais Campbell, who just signed a 1-year deal with the Cardinals? Like,
Does he ever stop?
correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't he like 47?
Oh, let me look here.
He's not, but
I know. I want to see his age though.
he is like probably
39.
39. I was gonna say
He's a
38.
defensive end at 39 years old. That's pretty impressive, honestly.
I mean, I love the guy. Great talent. I love watching him play, but it's like,
Mhm.
good God, man, when are you gonna be done playing?
So if you're like a team looking at these players, like, do you think Calais Campbell? I mean, he's worth what, 2.2 million? I'll take that, right? But somebody find me a situation where you pay Kirk Cousins $40 million a year, even before this past year. They signed the guy coming off an Achilles tear. Like, is he really worth that kind of money? Like Deshaun
Honestly,
Watson's another one. These
I
contracts are ridiculous.
listen, I like Kurt for 40 million a year if it's only like a 1 or a 2-year deal thing.
I mean,
I
if you're
don't
going to like
I don't like
Minnesota
signing
and
them.
playing there, but
That's what I mean. Like, it has to be the right situation. That's tough. Hey, if the Saints could get a hold of him and give him a 2-year deal, like 70 mil or something like that, why
he
not?
had one playoff win in his career. Like, I can't justify spending money like that on a guy like that. Joe Flacco to the Browns, though, to
That
get
is
to
a
get to the
very good point.
to get to the point that I wanted to make with this. I think it's a good move for the Browns, but I think it's the Browns saying we are not drafting a quarterback. Like, they are 100% not drafting a quarterback now. They are 100% in on either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter in the
It's the
first round.
Browns, man. You can't predict the Browns. They do such dumb shit all the time.
If the Browns draft a quarterback with the second pick,
It could happen though.
I
Like
don't think so.
like we say that, we're like, there's no way the Browns are doing that. It's like with the second pick, the Browns select, whatever
Okay.
quarterback.
I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. So, if and I shouldn't say my money, if I decide this, if we have at least 15 viewers at the time, and it can come from all of our social media outlets. If we have 15 viewers at the time of the Browns draft pick, and they draft a quarterback, I will give away a jersey. I'll give away a signed jersey.
That's bold. Is it
So,
authenticated?
yes.
Hmm.
Garrett said Browns I predict trade late in the first round and draft a QB. It's funny because we were actually talking about that.
Yeah, I don't think they trade back late. I think they trade back like mid round, like
I
10,
could see them
15.
trading. I could see the Browns trading with like the Bears or the Saints,
Yep.
depending on who panics and decides they need to move up. Garrett said they're taking Travis Hunter right away. That's what I'm saying. I think they take Travis Hunter or potentially Abdul Carter if he falls. But if they draft a quarterback at 2, I'm giving away a jersey if we have 15 viewers. So you heard it here, folks. Get your friends to watch next week on Thursday live during the draft. Even if it's just during the Browns pick, we'd like you to be there longer. But if there's 15 or more people watching and they pick a quarterback, I'll give away a jersey live.
And guys, if you can, go over to the TikTok page.
Smash that
share
like button.
Yeah, smash the like button. Give us a
Follow.
share, a follow, whatever you got to do. We're trying to liven that up a little bit.
Yep, trying to grow that TikTok following. We're doing pretty good on Facebook. Just want to keep growing that. So if you can, we'd appreciate it. Also, I just want to give credit to all of our people that have been on there now already. We're up to 55 followers. I think when we started back up a couple weeks ago, I think we were only at like 21. So we've gained well over 30 followers almost. So, we appreciate that love and support. Just keep on spreading the word, keep
Absolutely.
on getting people involved there and keep it spreading here. Like I said, we got giveaways down the line. That's going to be the fun part of it. We gave away stuff before. We gave away quite a few items actually. So, help us help you give that, or help us give you that content. and we will make sure we bring you the best stuff possible each week. But anyway, anything else to say about Mr. Flacco?
Yeah, I'll have to talk to Trevor about this then, but we should start doing like milestones on TikTok.
Mhm,
Like once we hit like crazy amount of likes, maybe we'll do some sort of giveaway or
mhm.
like something special to reward the people.
Yeah, and one thing I haven't
Because
even talked
obviously the more likes, the more it gets out to people. And we want to give stuff away.
one thing I didn't get to bring up to Eric, so that Eric's just finding about this now.
I love
I
this.
would love if we hit these like milestones, we should do, some extra point merch. Should do some swag, give away some swag. I
Give away
think
some
we
hats, t-shirts,
yeah, hats, t-shirts, polos, you name it, whatever people wanna see.
koozie, keychain, whatever.
Absolutely. So maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do that down the line here and, add some of that stuff. So anyway, moving on. Let's, get this straightened out here. Free agency updates. Any big moves that you want to talk about that happened this week? I mean, there's not a whole lot going on, but more
Not
so
really.
who's
I
left.
think, like I said, just the Eagles signing Terrence Marshall. I think that was a good addition. I know we already really covered that,
Mhm.
but it's just such a good depth move, and he could turn out to be a star. Like he was in a bad situation in Carolina.
So our thing isn't updating here, but I'm just going to show it on the screen anyway. Corey said Browns take Carter or Hunter. I agree wholeheartedly. I think either one of them, it's a no-brainer pick for them. There's no doubt in my mind that they pick up either one or two of them. And if like I said, if they go
So I
quarterback, I'm
mean,
not sure they're
so if
not
they don't take one of them, I mean, who else would they take?
right. I think they trade out if they're and they're crazy if they don't want either of them. But I think they definitely trade out. But anyway, um, moving on. I guess we'll just highlight on who's left in free agency here at this point. Pull that up. Garrett, thanks for the one. I could be wrong how I word this, but controller in the live chat there. Appreciate it, man. Game controller. It's
But
100
what?
coins on 100 coins on TikTok. Garrett sent us a game controller for 100 coins. Thanks, Garrett.
Oh, thanks, Garrett. Appreciate that, man.
But anyway, moving on. Who's left in free agency? I think teams are just kind of sitting on it before the draft. They're going to wait and see what happens. Justin Simmons is still available, obviously. Trying to think here. Bear with me, my computer sucks. But yeah, you still got Rodgers, Keenan Allen, Von Miller, Mari Cooper, like the normal, cast there. Any predictions on any of those players where they might end up?
Which one were you saying? Which couple
So
did you say?
you have Rodgers, you have Keenan Allen, Von Miller. I mean, you talk a lot about Von Miller. Where do you think he could end up?
Hold on, I'm trying to find my list here.
I think the one I'm most interested in is obviously CJ Mosley. Zadarius Smith's another one.
I
Still at
mean,
32, but
look, Von Miller's going to go to a contender. So you're looking at, can he add value to, the Eagles, the Chiefs, Commanders? Ooh, maybe Lions. Could you
I'll make
imagine him and Hutchinson? That'd be crazy.
would be crazy. I'll make a little prediction here. Not a huge one, but I could see somebody like Zadarius Smith going to the Commanders.
Yeah, I could see
I
that.
think I could see them loading up on some like after draft like vet presence to bring in and make that push because I really feel like they're going to gear up this year and try to go for a Super Bowl.
So thinking of that, didn't Green Bay just lose Darius Smith and Preston Smith?
So Preston Smith was with the Steelers.
So you would
Zadarius Smith was with Detroit. I think I see that's where you mixed that up with Green Bay.
Green Bay had one of them, I thought. No?
Nope. Maybe at some point in time. Let me look at Zadarius.
Yeah, maybe I'm
No,
getting
he played
confused.
for the Browns before. And then Preston Smith, where did he go?
I'm thinking of someone else. It's all either way. I could see
Mhm.
someone like Von Miller. I could see him going to the Packers.
You're
And
right for Preston Smith, by the way. He did play for the Packers from 19 to 22. He was with them.
okay. But yeah,
But
I could see him going to the Packers.
So Corey said here, or trade back, load up picks. Also Marshall, a former second round pick, I think. I could definitely see the Browns trading back, just to allude to what we were talking about earlier. That could definitely be a spot for the Browns. They're on my like trade, the fringe trade teams.
I don't know. Abdul Carter with Myles Garrett. Holy crap.
Yeah, Garrett said, I want to see Abdul Carter paired with Myles Garrett. I think Abdul Carter is going to be used a lot in similarity with how the Cowboys used Micah Parsons or use Micah Parsons. He's a guy who can flex all over the field. Doesn't matter where you line him up. He can play interior on like delayed blitzes, things like that. But he's also a great edge rusher. He's a disruptor in the run game.
Yeah, and I believe they said Abdul Carter he could have needed surgery. I believe they're saying he will not get surgery now.
Correct.
So
He is trying his best to avoid that surgery with his
that'll
shoulder
help
injury.
him stay in the top 2-3 picks in the NFL draft.
Yep. So I'll leave it up here for just a moment, chat, before we move on to our final segment of our show that everybody loves. Any
Except for
points
Trevor.
to make or questions with? I'm going to change that script this year or this week. Any points or any questions that anybody in the chat wants to ask us about the draft and what we think? What do we any predictions that we can talk about before we move on to Immaculate Grid? I want to hear your thoughts on the draft and what you think's going to happen next week. I think it's going to be a crazy draft. I think there's going to be a lot of movement. There could be a lot of trades, or a lot of teams could sit still. But I think with all the uncertainty on, players, I think it'll be interesting to see where people go.
Well, here's one thing for certain. Philadelphia Eagles are moving up in the draft. I don't know how far they're going to move up, but with 20 picks in the next 2 years, there's no way in heck that they don't move up in this draft.
Okay, so are you gonna?
Yeah,
gonna
that's
make that prediction.
That's the extra point.
Eric's extra point this week is that the Eagles draft up or trade up. You know what I think happens? I think they trade
stack for
back.
next year.
I think they get to 32 and realize there's not a ton of first round talent at the later part of the first round. I think they move back. I think that they're one of my teams that could potentially move back. We got a chat here on TikTok. Nate Cole said, "Who do you think the Cardinals are taking?" So I definitely think the Cardinals are going to go defense. Obviously, they're 16. So
right in the middle.
They addressed the offense last year, obviously with Marvin Harrison. There might be some wide receivers still in the the mix there with like Luther Burden, Tet McMillan could be potentially still in the market, but I do think that they go potentially like a secondary. I could see maybe like Malachi Starks from Georgia, safety out of Georgia, Jahdae Barron from Texas. There's a couple different options that they have there that could be a landing spot for them, but I think they definitely address the defense. There's also, Texas A&M's defensive end Shamar Stewart, and then just looking at my big board here, again secondary Will Johnson from Michigan, cornerback. There's too much talent, I think, defensively at the end of like that round 15, 16, 17. For anyone to pass up, a potential defensive gem for a wide receiver or something of that nature. What do you think, Eric?
I think they're going to go with an offensive lineman, whether it's I think probably a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
If all the top end tackles didn't get picked out at that point, but I'm definitely going to say offensive lineman, whether it's a guard or a tackle.
So there's a couple different options that you could have if you're them looking at offensive line. I mean, obviously they want to find a little bit more, what would be the word? A bit more certainty for Kyler Murray up front to protect him. But I definitely think, I mean, I'm not against that. I think you have some options there. One that I look at is Kelvin Banks out of Texas. Could be another one that falls that far. I have him and Josh Simmons in the later part of like 15 to 20, that range. for.
What it wouldn't even surprise me if they got an offense on the other side of the ball. Like if they got a Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss,
Mhm.
defensive, nose tackle that's just incredible inside, run stopper, pass rusher. He can do it all. I just
Corey's
think
saying the
that's
Cards
I
will
think
take
that's what they need.
Corey's saying that they'll take Will Johnson or Ashton Genty. I don't know if Genty falls that far. I think they would have to move up if they're gonna go for him at that point.
Will Johnson's a good take. I mean, I feel like Arizona probably could use a corner.
Mhm. You 100%. So there's pretty good amount of depth in this draft at cornerback. They could even wait until the second round and pick up some good guys. I like Darian Porter out of Iowa State is another one. Azariah Thomas from Florida State. Those are, two, 3 round cornerback talents that you could take there. Nate Cole said they don't need Jendy. They got Connor and Trey Benson. I forgot about Trey Benson.
Yeah, I mean, I think Connor's kind of regressing a little bit, but
I think
Trey
that's why they
Benson,
went out and got
yeah,
Benson for
Trey
sure.
Trey Benson's a beast.
I think this year we'll find out what Benson's really made of. Didn't get as much of the workload last year, but Garrett's also saying wide receiver. I think they would take. There's plenty of wide
Okay.
receivers at that point in the draft. Luther Burden, like I said, Tet McMillan, Matthew Golden's another one. I want to smack my table. I mean, I am shaking my camera. Kind of pisses me off because I'm a Matthew Golden fan. Me and Eric talked about him last week. There's a lot of potential in that guy, and it seems like every time Texas was making a big play down the stretch, it was on the hands of Matthew Golden.
And listen, I'm a big Texas fan. He was definitely the sure-handed receiver on that team.
Absolutely clutch,
Ga-
especially in that Arizona
Game on
State
the
game.
game on the line, they were going to him or Bond, and he was just the sure-handed guy. Like you
Yep.
need that 4th and 3, you're throwing it to him every time.
Nate said, "I would not mind another weapon for Murray, but I would like a defensive player and offensive lineman." So here's what I think you do. If I'm in the front office of the Cardinals, somebody can tell me if I'm wrong. I do like that method. I like offensive linemen. I think I go out and get that guy out of Texas, the offensive tackle. And then what I do is after the draft, I draft one young wide receiver, right, in the later rounds. And then I turn around and I go and I call up Amari Cooper and I say, "Hey, baby, you want to come catch some passes alongside Marvin Harrison and play in the slot?" You have
And he's
Marvin Harrison out wide, Amari Cooper in the slot, Trey McBride at tight end. We're rolling. We are rolling.
I don't know about Cooper in the slot, but I could see him going out wide.
Cooper's a
Um,
little Cooper's a little more, I don't wanna say
he's getting
slower,
old though. He's getting
but
old.
think about it. You put the shorter guy at the slot, and then you put big, tall, fast
Or if
Marvin
you want
Harrison
to, or
Jr.
if you want
wide.
to do that, why even get Cooper? Why don't you just go out and get Keenan Allen?
You can get Keenan Allen is another one. That's another guy you call up. "Hey, baby, hey, I need a wide receiver." Like, you got options in free agency, and I think you can get the depth there that you need versus what you could get in the draft.
I agree with you though. I think they get Kelvin Banks Jr.
I think that's a great move for them. I think that's investing in their future. Corey makes a point, this draft is stacked at running back and tight end. Let me tell
I,
you about a tight end,
I'm interested to see who gets Scatabo from Arizona State.
Kim Scatabo. That'll be an interesting guy because you can move him around and do a lot with him.
Yeah, 'cause he seems like he could be like a tight end or a fullback or like one of
You're
them
exactly right.
guys.
So one thing I want to point out, Corey said that tight end is deep this year in this draft. Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, Elijah Arroyo from Miami, Mason Taylor, LSU. Yeah, but you know who I want to talk about, and I talked about him before, Harold Fannin Jr. Garrett, Eric, Eagles fans. I
And
think
Bowling Green.
this is the guy that is going to be our diamond in the rough. I want the Eagles to go and pick him up. 6'4", 230 pounds, and as a tight end, he led the country in receiving.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That's probably gonna be the Eagles' first pick as a tight end.
Well, if Colston Loveland falls to 32, 100%.
You don't
But
have to
if
fall to 32. Eagles are
well,
moving
you
up,
think they're
man.
going to trade up for a tight end?
I think they're gonna move up. Like I said, I don't think they're gonna try and go from 32 to like 10.
No,
but
but like for
I could see
Loveland, they
them
move him to like
going.
24.
I could see them doing that. Yeah.
Hmm. Maybe. I mean, they were trying to shop
Let's see
Goddard.
a team. Let's see a team that could afford to drop back here.
Splash trade like the Eagles did and get AJ Brown. Yeah, the Cardinals could do that too, Garrett. Surprise everybody. See what
Eh,
Gannon has up his sleeve.
Here's one. The Texans made some moves, right? Gave up some
Mhm.
picks. That's a team that if they just move from 25 to 32, they could get some of their picks back that they lost and not even really drop that far in the draft.
Right, and still get someone viable there.
Exactly.
And it goes to a good point here. They do need a running back, and Corey made a good point. There's 12 backs that could start in the league and 6 tight ends that could start. So you could have the potential where a team like Houston could trade back, get a running back like Omari and Hampton potentially at the end of the first round, and have a replacement for Joe Mixon, ready and lined up to go. He did deal with some injuries last year. That'd be interesting, honestly. I don't know. As much as I love the top 10, I love seeing the jockeying that happens between 20 and 32. That's when it seems like all the trades really start to open up and start flying off the handle. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this year with, depth at different places and things like that. But anyway, Eric, favorite part of the show. Before we do that, anybody else, any other point you want to make or talk about
The immaculate grid.
before we
baby.
hit Immaculate Grid? Everybody's favorite part of the podcast. I'll give it like a minute here and then we'll start. I'll even throw up the ticker now, just so Eric can get this out of his system before I close the gap even more.
I won 3 out of 4, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, how's it gonna sound when I won like 4 out, or I won like 1 out of the last 4. I won 1 out of the last 5.
Yeah, how does that feel? I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It feels really bad right now, so I can't wait for you to say it. I can't wait to hear you say it, pal. Well, anyway,
Time will tell.
yeah, time will tell. I'm gonna let you pick your number this week too, since
Ooh,
you wanted to
let me
see
dig
about
my
that
own
last
grave.
week. Yeah. Well, you did say last week how you wanted to like pick your number and stuff like that. So,
I was just
all
kidding.
right, here we go. Immaculate Grid this week. Eric, pick a number, my friend.
What's my choices? Like how many numbers?
So you have between 1 and 635, but like the first maybe 9 are taken already.
I'm gonna go with number 27.
27. Vlad Guerrero, baseball player.
Yeah, I was thinking
Vlad Guerrero
Eddie
Jr.,
George.
I should say. Where are we at?
Why
right
I was
here?
thinking Eddie George? I don't know.
Well, maybe you'll get some luck here.
So am I going first?
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, wait. Who won last week? I did. You know what? Yeah, I'll let you go first. Just because I felt bad for you last week.
Damn. Wasn't that bad.
It was pretty close, honestly. And remember, Chad, as always, I'll throw this out there. First 2 games, it's me versus Eric to go towards our tally. As soon as we finish these 2 games, then we do shows, or we do Immaculate Grids with our fans. So for the first ones, keep the comments and the guesses. You can comment, just don't give us your guess yet. As me and Eric are trying to figure these out, I will monitor the chat while Eric goes and guesses here. So Eric, any picks there?
Bengals passer. I'm gonna go with Carson Palmer. Like,
Hang on, lost your audio here. Try again.
we good?
Yeah, now.
Yeah, it's getting weird with the music.
Yep, I had to turn it down a little bit. Anyway,
I was just talking through that. I was gonna pick Andy Dalton. I was like, he might be like more of an obvious choice there. Same thing with Joe Burrow.
so what are you thinking here? Any more?
I'm thinking Saints. We got Drew Brees, but that would be too obvious, I think.
That is the
trying to get
only one that comes to mind.
Trying to get someone that's not as obvious. Although I really can't think of any other Saints quarterbacks because in recent memory, I'm not sure that they had 3,000 yards. And I can't really remember 20 years ago before Drew Brees. If I'm being completely honest here.
Hey, chat, one other thing to bring up. So since you can't like guess yet, if while you're doing this, you have any like questions you want to ask us or like predictions, things you want to bring up about the draft or just football in general, throw them in the chat. We'll talk about them while we guess. Figure a way to spice it up a little bit. Anyway, Eric, sorry to interrupt.
Nah, you're good. Colts.
All right. Colts 3,000?
I don't know if it was 3,000 yards, but I'm going to go with my man, Johnny Unitas.
Ooh.
Bang!
Ooh.
Bang!
Okay, there you go. That's a big one for you.
Better percentage than Peyton Manning, for sure.
That was a bigger one for you there.
Man, I cannot think of the Saints quarterback that would not be Drew Brees.
There might not have been one, pal.
Like, yeah, you had Jameis there, you had Derek Carr, but like everybody was playing like bits and pieces of seasons there.
Mm-hmm.
Just put Drew Brees in for me because I want to move on from it, you know?
Yep. Not horrible. I thought that would have been like a 90%er.
Honestly, I thought so too.
I think the popularity of Derek Carr these last couple of years may have changed that a little bit.
I mean, he might have been popular, but I'm not so sure that he had 3,000 yards.
Mm-hmm. All right, sir. Now you got to guess these players.
Any time that there is the Browns in here, I just get screwed up. I don't know.
I actually think the Browns are one of the easier teams to guess.
I don't, because I feel like they just go there and die.
Well, yeah, but they
like, I mean, like once you're a Brown, like it seems like that's the only team they really play for. Like, like they don't.
If these ads don't stop popping up,
like, you know, like a little ad action.
I'm gonna get copyright flagged.
All right, Colts and Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Got Carson Wentz.
Whoa, bang.
Bang. I was going to say Foles, but
that would have been. Did he start for both?
I don't know. I really don't know. Probably. Does preseason count?
No. Be a regular season game.
I'm probably not. So glad I picked Wentz.
Yeah, right. That was actually a pretty good one, honestly.
I like doing this when Big Red's staring at me. They got Drew Brees, you know, he's giving you the.
Looks like Clifford the dog with a broken nose.
Then you got Carson Palmer. That looks like a mugshot, like he just got out of prison.
Yeah. Oh, the things I could say right now, but I'm not gonna. No guesses here. I'm surprised. I thought some would like fly off here.
Trying to think them through here.
Normally your guesses are immaculate, Eric.
I mean,
you see what I did there?
So far, I'm doing pretty well, I think.
No, I agree. The Unitas and the Wentz percentage was pretty solid.
You're already over there like backtracking, like, man, I'm screwed.
Shouldn't have let him go first.
Oh man, I'm about to pull a big one out here.
Go ahead. Is it one that you haven't guessed yet?
Colts, Browns, Trent Richardson.
Ooh.
How is that 43%? There is absolutely no way. How?
I'm trying to think of some of these.
That was a good guess.
That was a
I
very
don't care
good
what
guess.
anyone says.
It's a very good guess.
Right now, I'm going to talk through it with you guys. Bengals and Chiefs is what I'm looking at. I just can't think of anything.
Garrett said Saints Chiefs is easy.
Saints, Chiefs.
Yo, Garrett. While Eric guesses here, I just want to, and this goes for anybody else. I think this is how we'll have some fun. So later part of the first round next week, maybe we can throw on some Immaculate Grid and bring some people on to do an Immaculate Grid with us. What do you think, Garrett? You think maybe next Thursday night during the draft you could jump on, play some Immaculate Grid with the gang?
Saints, Chiefs.
Another thing to emphasize.
Might be easy for you guys, you know.
Another thing to emphasize during the draft. So like before, we used to do live football games. I'm sure Garrett remembers these a lot. The three of us would be live. We'd be on talking about, just whatever during these games and watching the games live with you, the fans, and we'd bring people on to chat with us. So if anybody wants to, chat next week, let us know. We can bring people on for, a couple of minutes to ask a question, chat, and kind of talk about that question with us. You don't have to be on camera. You can be strictly audio, however you'd like to do that. But we can bring you on. We can have up to 10 guests. So if anybody has any, wishes to do that, just put it in the chat next week, and we will definitely see to bringing you on to talk. Any other guesses, Eric?
Yeah.
Where at?
So I was thinking about the Chiefs and the Saints. That's going to be the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu.
That's actually a pretty good one there. I bet you that was the one that
I could almost guarantee you
Garrett was talking about.
Which it is pretty obvious. That's why it's 71%. However, it is better than a blank.
It's better than none. Any other guesses here?
Man, it's the freaking Browns, man. I don't know what it is.
Browns have plagued you.
Literally. I'm thinking DBs that played for the Bengals and the Chiefs. I just can't think of them. Really don't know too many DBs on the Bengals because none of them are really that good. Decent memory anyway. Wide receivers, the Bengals pretty much have the receiving core intact.
Ooh, Garrett said Valdez Scantling would have gotten you more. Or the Chiefs and the Chiefs and the Saints.
Oh, so you were thinking MVS. Okay. I was not going that route at all.
Well, I'm
getting stumped.
You got this. I hope you don't, but you got this.
All right. I'm going. I don't know. He didn't play for the freaking Browns. Damn it. I can't think of any Browns. Why?
They weren't necessarily relevant. Maybe that's why.
I just feel like all the players I think of were Browns for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs, Bengals. Still can't think of that one. Bengals and Browns. Can we go Andy Dalton? Not so sure that he played for the Browns, but maybe.
Nope. He played for the Saints for sure. I know that.
Yeah, just not the Browns, though.
Mm-hmm. I think I see one here, but I'll tell you afterwards, I guess. I'm I'm fairly certain, but I'm not 100%.
Uh Trying to think running backs right now. No.
Running out of guesses there.
Run out of guesses, man. Okay, I'm just gonna guess just to guess, I think.
Go ahead, throw them out there.
These freaking Browns, man.
Browns are like
Killing
the
me.
bane of our existence.
Trying to think of like interior linemen.
Thing is, the Browns just had a bunch of nobodies for a long time, and like outside of your normal, premier spots.
Oh my gosh. All right, give me a couple seconds here and I'll throw the towel in.
No problemo, sir.
Browns, Saints, Jameis Winston.
That was a pretty good one there. Whoa.
That would be the game winner, sir. Browns, Bengals.
Garrett, were you guessing the same as Eric here with that one?
Browns, Bengals, AJ McCarron.
Ooh. Wait. Hang on a second here.
Yeah, you might. There he is.
Nope.
Oh, I got it wrong. Okay.
423. That's a strong one there.
It's respectable. Not as good as I thought it was going to be, but
All right. Here we go. Oh, wait. We should. Never mind. We'll just. What was that number 27? I want to see some of the blanks.
your guess was Landry for what? Saints, Browns. Yeah, that would have been a good one. I think he did play for both.
Jarvis Landry, Carlos Dunlap. I haven't heard that name in years.
And he would have been 47%. What?
Insane.
Insane in the membrane.
Okay, here we go. Let's go 571. Ah,
Are you kidding me? That's easy.
yeah, right. This is going to take me a little bit to figure out here.
Well,
but
the Jets is easy.
yeah, but I don't know if I want to go with him yet. Or either of them.
Talk us through it.
Yeah, Rodgers or Favre? I don't think so. Not right away.
I will say this. You always pick one that doesn't have like yardage or anything at the end.
I know.
Always straight players.
Every damn time.
Oh, man. Wonder how it's going to feel to be 1-4. Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Nah, you got this, man.
Oh, so here we go again. Darkness, mild friend.
If you guys are over on TikTok, please give us a couple likes there. We appreciate it. If you're on Facebook, give us a like, share, follow. We appreciate it. Gardner Minshew. Okay. How was that
Mhm.
43% though?
He's pretty known. I think he's pretty known.
Yeah. He's been around too. A bunch of
Mhm.
teams. Colts and Cowboys. Wow.
That's actually kind of a tough one. Why do I think I know this one? The Colt or the Cowboys and the Packers.
That one I know.
Yeah. Dolphins and the Cowboys. This one's actually really tough for me right now.
I can think of one right off the top of my head. It's not easy though. It would probably be like a 5%.
Jets and Colts is going to be interesting.
Raiders and Dolphins. Good luck with that. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think he got screwed.
No, I didn't.
Average pick.
Mm,
That was good. I like it.
Jets and Colts.
I'll give credit where it's due. Come on.
Gotta love the big uglies. Garrett's just like a walking football thesaurus.
I know Miami and Dallas. I also know a good one for the Packers and Jets. That's not the obvious quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. It's probably a tight end.
Jets and Colts, though. I don't know about that.
Packers and Raiders is easy. I might as well just go with the.
That was only 40%. How is that 24%? Like, what? You know who I was thinking for that, though?
Who?
I would have went with, like, Alan Lazard.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Like, yeah, he was there recently, but everyone's thinking Rodgers. They're not thinking, like,
Mhm.
the surrounding cast that he
They're not
brought in
thinking.
there.
Yeah, they're not thinking of them. Jordy Nelson, that's another one. I didn't even realize he played there.
But he went to the Jets?
He must have.
Nah, I don't think he did. I thought he went to the Raiders. Oh, maybe that's what he meant. Green
Packers
Bay
and Raiders, yeah. Cowboys and the Packers.
Ooh. Cowboys and Colts I got. That'd be a 2% or two. I got a lot of the Cowboys ones.
It's because a lot of people know who the Cowboys, like those players.
What are you thinking, man? Talk us through
it. If I could make the noise that my brain was making right now with my mouth, I'd do it, but I don't know. Thinking of like I don't want to throw in the towel like right away, but damn, this is tough. I feel dumb that I don't know these.
The Dallas ones, I think you have a good chance of getting. I'm actually texting Garrett right now. We're like kind of making fun of you.
Well, I don't know.
I
I think my hatred for Dallas rings so true that I don't know some of their players. What?
He never played for Miami.
He's on the roster. Oh,
He didn't play though.
that sucks. That one hurts big time. That screwed me big time. Not that far out of it though.
I mean, let's be honest. You probably weren't getting all 5. So swinging for the fences wasn't going to hurt you.
It's like every time I think of a player for one of the teams, they haven't played for another team. I'm soon gonna have to. I don't think he did, but yeah, he did.
You want to know what mine was for that? That would have
What?
been a 2%er.
Who?
Oh, let me make sure he didn't play for anyone else. Where I tell you, Stephon Gilmore.
You know, I thought about Stephon Gilmore, but I didn't realize he played for the Cowboys or the Colts. I forgot.
Yep. Yeah, he's been around for a couple years, just doing like 1 to 2 year stints with a bunch of teams.
Is there any obvious ones in front of me? Ooh, Malik Willis or Malik.
I got the Miami and Dallas one right away. I wouldn't say it's like blatant obvious.
Oh, I don't even know who Malik Hooker is. Malik Hooker.
Hey, dude, he's safety.
Is he?
Hey, he's safety. He actually played on the Colts and Dallas. I don't even know where he's at now. I think he was with Detroit or the Saints at one point too.
I got a couple in me yet. I just got to think about it.
So based on the percentages, you're gonna need a couple good ones there. Which honestly, they're harder ones. So if you do get them, they're going to be a lower percent, you would think.
I don't know though.
I still can't think of a Jets and Colts though.
That's probably the toughest one.
I can't think of Jets in Miami either.
I'm soon going to have to hang it up and concede because I can't. This is the toughest one I've had to do.
This one ain't easy. I'll give you that. It's definitely not an easy one.
No, he didn't play for them. Hmm.
I had 2 more guesses. You might as well at least throw some guesses in there if you can think of somebody.
Yeah, I give up. That was bad. That was the toughest one I've had to do yet.
So Miami and Dallas, right away, I was like, Byron Murphy.
He played for Dallas?
Yep. He started.
I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm thinking of I'm thinking of Byron Maxwell. No, I don't even know who Byron Murphy is. Flacco, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Murphy was actually he was one of the highest. He was the highest paid corner at one point when he went from Dallas to Miami.
Damn, I want to know.
Christian Wilkins. Okay.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, Fitzmagic again. He's killing us.
He gets us every time.
Oh, Flacco? Damn it. Why do we never think of Flacco?
Oh, there's no way I would have got that one. Oh my gosh. I don't know any of those players.
All right, so let's make sure we get that ticker updated there.
Yeah, 571 screwed me. Holy hell.
That was a hard one, man. I almost feel bad, you know.
It was like I got on a I don't even know. I feel violated.
All right, what do you guys think in the chat there? You guys,
yeah, chat. Throw a number out there. Let's pick one.
It's what'd you say it is? Like 10 to 631 or something?
It's like no, it's actually like 20 to 631 because we've used all the first couple. So pick a number, chat. Random number between 20 and 635. Garrett said 100.
All right. Lucky number 100 coming at you. And this one is
scroll forever.
This one is for the chat. So anybody in the chat on any platform, please give a guess.
Yep. Throw your comments in there, chat.
I will say this
is in there.
Of course, any comment we will definitely take into consideration and put in here. But the whole object is to not think of the obvious ones and try to get a lower percentage.
Oh shit.
I'll say that was probably one of the most obvious ones.
We can fill these in though. What do you think, Clinton Portis?
No.
Who are you thinking?
Alfred Morris.
You think Alfred Morris had 1,000?
Oh, 100%.
15%. Nice. Deuce Staley.
Ricky Waters.
Ricky Waters. Wait a second, because Ricky Waters, hang on. I'm thinking before. What about Wilbert Montgomery?
I'm not going to lie. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, let's go. Wilbert Montgomery. I got a good one.
What is it?
Tommy McDonald.
Okay.
Oh, let's go.
Hold on, what's chat saying?
I don't see anything in the chat right now.
Come on, chat.
Throw some guesses in there, chat. 10,000 plus passing in a career. Randall Cunningham, maybe? I don't know if he threw for a 10,000 as an Eagle, though.
No, he didn't.
Jaws?
You
pretty much got McNabb.
McNabb, and then for the Jets, it'd be, what's his name? Joe Namath.
You think he threw for 10,000?
Yes. He might be the only quarterback that threw for 10,000 for them.
Commander Joe Theismann.
Yeah. We're killing this. Washington, I mean, obviously the easy ones, McLaurin.
What about trying to think of who?
Jets, you could probably have
Santonio Holmes?
or Eric Decker,
I don't think Decker hit 1,000 for them. I think he did for the Broncos.
Broncos. Hold on.
Garrett Wilson.
We can think. Let me think on the Jets there.
Santana Moss. Ooh. That's a good one.
Hold on. Jets. I know this.
I was thinking like Plaxico. Well, Plaxico first played for the Giants. No, I'm thinking Wilson or Santonio Holmes.
I know Garrett Wilson did, but I'm trying to get points. My God, I can't think of his name. He used to play on the Jags. He was one of the speed guys like maybe 5 years ago. What are you looking for?
I'm just looking at the rules. Brandon Marshall for the Jets.
That's a good one. I just think it's obvious.
I don't think there were many outside of the obvious ones.
I'm still hanging on to Eric Decker. I think that'd be a good percent, but I'm not 100% sure that he hit 1,000.
Should we try it?
But is it worth it? Oh, we only have one guess left.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I was thinking Santonio Holmes was probably the most least known.
Do you think he got 1,000 now?
He had a pretty solid couple of years for them.
All right, put it in then if you think he got it.
Let's try it. Oh,
damn, we were at 283 with one missing too. Fuck. Damn. All
let's
right.
find out here. Let's see who it was.
Dude, we would have been in like the 100-point mark, like in the hundreds.
There you go. 27 yards over.
Who?
Brandon Marshall, Jericho Cotchery, Lavernius Coles,
That's who I was thinking of.
Johnson.
Oh my God. I couldn't think of his name. I just kept thinking Coles.
Damn.
Man. All right.
What was that one? Like 2 something?
Yeah, it was like 223. And
Throw
we got
another
one
grid in
wrong.
there, chat. Throw another number in there for us.
Anywhere from 20 to 631. No one picks here soon. I'll just throw one out there.
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead and throw one out there.
Go with number 444. The triple fours. Oh, Jesus.
Ooh, look at this.
Hall of Fame. That
Bryce
can
will
get
do
interesting.
226 directly after this one. Ooh, these ones are interesting.
I mean, Hall of Fame for the Lions. That almost has to be Barry Sanders because I can't even think of another Lion in the same sentence.
Let's just get it out of the way.
Let's be honest. We ain't going to. How is that only 54% though?
There's probably something we're missing.
5,000 plus receiving yards for a career.
Who's another 1,000 rusher for the Jets?
I mean, Brees Hall.
Curtis Martin, Brees Hall. Oh,
LT.
yeah, I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, put it in there. What?
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 What? Man. We
He
blew this one up.
I mean, Brees Hall definitely had 1,000 yards rushing.
Did he?
Yeah. Very like.
Oh, no, he didn't because he tore his ACL. The
He's
highest
also
he
been in
ever
the league for like 3 years, though, right?
he had 994 yards in
Oh
2023.
my! So he is 6 yards away.
Yep. Man, that hurts.
Hall of Fame, 1,000-yard rushing. Let's do Terrell Davis.
Three percenter.
Yes, sir. Let's go. Got to get that comeback.
What'd you say? I'm sorry, I took my headphones off.
I said, heck yeah, 3%. That'll put us right back in the game. Riggins?
There we go.
Let's go. 5,000 plus yards. Dude, I'm not going to get that for Washington other than McLaurin. Seriously. You remembered that, huh?
Yeah. Oh, this one's going to be really tough. I don't think I'll get this one. Maybe.
Wait, what is it? Oh, God. We only have 2 guesses.
Oh, shit. I tried.
Ah.
It's okay. This can be a throwaway one.
Oh, 5,000 receiving yards for a receiver?
That was in the Hall of Fame for.
Jerry
I
Rice?
thought that was for the. Oh, shit. My bad.
Jerry Rice, Ocho Cinco.
I thought that was for the Jets. I was so worried about the Jets. I guess we'll just go with Jerry Rice and call that one a throwaway.
Yikes.
Damn. I think we still beat me.
I like that one though. That was fun, like with the Hall of Fame and stuff in there.
So Bryce said 226. Yeah, that one was a misunderstanding from my part. I screwed that one up.
It's all good, man.
Oh, yes.
That's pretty simple. No, hold on.
Didn't Cody Parkey kick for the Eagles?
Yes. The only one I can think of for the Niners is going to be freaking Montana or Steve Young.
I don't know if he had
I
10,000
don't know
though.
if he had 10K, but yeah, do
We'll go with
Montana.
Montana. Was it McNabb here? Should we try?
McNabb.
Well, let's save it for the end. Maybe try Jaworski.
That's got to be Eli or Kerry Collins.
Chris Sims.
Or Chris Sims. All of them had 10,000.
Oh, Phil Sims, I mean.
I knew what you meant.
Mm-hmm. Bucks, Eagles. Did Devin White play a regular season game for the Eagles? I thought he got cut before the
I'm not
season.
sure,
didn't
but Ndamukong Suh did.
he? Ooh, that's a good one. I'm thinking Jaws for that one, but I don't know.
Hey, Bucks and Giants. What's the dude that blew his hand apart? What's his name?
OCU Manure or Justin Tuck?
No.
Oh, what was it? Chat.
It's
If
Saint
anybody can-
something. Saint Pierre? No. I can't think of his name. I can picture him.
Jason Pierre-Paul. JPP.
Yes. I wasn't even close. How the hell is that 64? I guess that is pretty obvious. Giants and Bears. Giants and Bears. Bears, Niners.
What are you guessing?
I don't have anybody. I'm just kind of talking out loud.
Yeah, they're stumping me, honestly. Giant and a bear.
Yeah, just get that one out of the way.
McNabb, yeah. I thought the quarterback position might be an easier one.
Robbie Gould.
Oh, that is a good one. I think I guessed that one before.
Niners and Bucks. If GM's counted, I'd say John Lynch.
Yeah, right.
Bears and Giants. Did Matt Forte ever go to the Giants?
I don't think so. No.
I know he went somewhere after that might have been the Jets he went to, not the Giants.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I might be out of guesses here.
Anybody have anything? Garrett, Bryce? I'm stumped. Not gonna lie. I'm getting pretty close with the Giants and the Bears, but I just can't put my finger on it. I'm thinking it's a linebacker, middle linebacker. I just can't think of who it is.
Antonio Pierce didn't go anywhere else, did he?
Who's Antonio Pierce? Ain't that the Raiders coach that they just had?
Yeah, he used to play middle linebacker for the Giants.
That's not who I'm thinking of.
Brandon Marshall for Bears Giants. I don't think
he played the Giants.
No, he played for the Jets.
I have no idea, man.
Yeah, I say throw in the towel. You cool with that? Start a new one?
Yeah. Looks like everybody else is stuck too.
Oh, freaking Bryce was right. And Richard Sherman.
How the heck do we not get that?
I'm curious if there was ever any other 10,000 passers for the Eagles.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I thought Brandon Marshall too, and I'm like, nah, he didn't play for the Giants. All right, guys, what number for the next grid?
Sonny Jurgensen.
Let's
Randall Cunningham.
want to
Ronan
call
Gabriel.
this our last one here.
Yep. Should pick a random one. We'll go right here. Let's go with 420.
It only goes to 631, Garrett.
No,
he
it goes to 635. I'll tell you
Oh,
what.
does it? I thought it was
We didn't guess in this
631.
one, so we'll just do it, Garrett. Oh, I like this one.
It's easy.
Damn.
I say that was obvious. It wasn't to us last round, but
Jets and the Bucks.
we could get the first round picks out of the way if you want.
Who was the first round pick for the Seahawks?
DK Metcalf.
Was he?
Yeah. That's probably obvious, though.
We can
What
roll
about-
with it.
What about Sean Alexander?
I don't know if he was a first round pick. He's a running back. That might be tough. Oh, DK wasn't.
Wait, what?
Yeah, DK wasn't. First round pick one's
I
tough.
swore he was a first round pick. Russell Wilson?
No, he was like a late round pick.
Garrett Wilson for the Jets?
It's a good one.
So is Zach Wilson.
Oh, that's true too.
Kyler Murray for the Cardinals, but that's easy. So is Harrison.
Mm-hmm. The only two that I can think of.
I'm kind of upset about that Seattle one. I could have swore DK was a first rounder. I was wrong.
What about Reek Woolen? Fitz. Oh, Fitz was a first round pick, I think. A good one.
Out of Pittsburgh.
Reek Woolen was. No, he wasn't. Jesus.
I don't even know who that is.
Tariq Woolen, he's one of their better corners.
Yeah, but that was Reek, not.
He changed his name.
Oh, he changed it.
Yeah.
I still
Man.
think it's Sean Alexander, but
We can
Let's
try
not-
it.
let's not waste all our guesses on that.
Let's think of some of these players here. Let's get some good guesses in here, guys, with this one being our last one.
I just can't think.
Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's a good one. I'm finally doing it.
He said Terrell Revis for Jets Bucks.
Did Revis play for that?
Listen, I'm not second guessing Bryce anymore.
Yep. Damn, son.
Oh yeah,
Seahawks Rams Bobby Wagner. Good old
Good one.
Bobby.
how the heck do we not think of that? It's crazy.
I'm doing it. I'm finally doing it. Do I have permission?
Yep.
Yes. I wanted to use him for so long. Ooh, Kurt Warner would have been a good one. Josh McCown.
It's like so obvious. We got to do one more, dude. We can't go down like that.
Yeah, we'll do one more.
Garrett said what, 635?
He already, that's one we just did. Just pick a
Wow.
random one up here. How about 600?
Sure. All right, last one, guys.
Ooh, let's go.
Holy shit.
Oh, that Bears one. Jim McMahon.
Or Cutler.
Did Cutler throw for 10,000 though?
Yeah.
We'll go
Dude,
Cutler.
Cutler was there for, he had to have. He was there for how many years? Threw for what, 3,000-4,000 a year?
Mm-hmm. Maybe Jameis. Bears, Eagles, Michael Bennett. Good one.
That is a really good one.
What?
Wait, what?
Wrong Michael Bennett. What? Okay, I'm not selecting that one anymore. What in the world?
What the hell? He definitely played for both of them.
Yeah.
It must have been like the wrong one or something.
Okay. First round draft
There's
pick
not a
for
way
the-
to restart this, is there? Because we kind of got screwed on that.
No, I can't do it. Nope.
First round pick for the Eagles, Carson Wentz.
Is there any more that were like non-conspicuous? I mean, Brandon Graham was a first round pick. Derek Barnett, less known.
We picked a lot of linemen.
Thinking like back in the day. Fletch.
Yeah, Fletcher Cox is definitely.
Wait, that's a good one, actually. Lane Johnson, Fletcher Cox. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Who was an Eagle and a Buck?
Eagle and a Buck.
There's got to be some. Alshon Jeffrey.
Ooh, that's good.
Deshaun Jackson.
Was that Bucks and Jets? Didn't we say Revis?
Yes.
Probably the best corner to ever play the game, or at least one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't say the best. I should say probably top 10.
First round draft pick that was a 10,000 yard passer. Zach Wilson.
I think he was at the. Was he at the top? $10,000-yard passer.
That was drafted Peyton Manning.
Not for the Buccaneers. Oh, first round. You're okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at it wrong. Was Peyton a first round pick? I honestly don't
I
know.
think Carson Palmer would be a really good one.
What about like Brett Favre and Elway? Were they first round?
Yeah, but they're probably way more well known, don't you think?
Breeze.
I was thinking Carson Palmer, like
10,000 yards really ain't a lot.
right. That's why I was.
That's like 4 seasons.
He had some solid years, and has anyone thrown 10,000 for the Bucks? No, oof. Not that I can think
I
of.
keep thinking of that Brad Johnson.
I bet
When
Jameis Winston
when they won the
squeaked out
Super Bowl.
10,000.
He probably had 10,000 in 2 or 3 years. The way he
Mhm.
was throwing the ball. Just he probably had 100 interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a first round pick. So put it in there. Why not?
2%.
We're idiots. We didn't put Tom Brady for the Bucks 10,000 yards.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. Well,
It's been fun.
yeah,
I could literally play this all night, honestly. It's fun.
let's get back in here. So, just one thing we want to bring up to everybody. Next week, Thursday night, 8:00. I can probably try to get us live maybe like 10 minutes early prior to the first pick. At least maybe like 7:30, 8:00, we'll be live to cover the draft. We'll be covering the first round of the draft, talking
Yeah, of
through it
course.
with everybody.
Of course, we can't stream it. You guys know that, but
Yep.
I'm sure you guys will all have it on. We can all talk about it together and try to get some predictions in real time of what we think is going to happen.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's like a watch party. We're watching it together, just through the extra point. So turn on the draft, throw on the extra point, chat with us, talk to us. Let's discuss some football, and we'll bring you on to talk. We can bring you on, chat in front of everybody, share your opinions, your predictions, things like that. So definitely want you on here, and we'll post a little bit more information as we go. And remember, if the Browns take a quarterback in round 2 and we have 15 or in round 1 and we have 15 viewers at the time, I'll be giving away a jersey. So tell your friends, tell your family. We'll be here.
We'll set out a milestone too. We'll release more details on it, but if we can get 100,000 likes during the draft party, we will be doing a giveaway.
There we go. You heard it from the man.
And
Well,
honestly,
potentially
100,000, it is a lot, but it's not unachievable.
Right. Yeah, let's hit that number. Smash that button. Share it out to everybody, and that will help us hit that goal. So we hit 2.2 thousand likes tonight on just this episode alone. So I think we can hit 100,000. We get like 50 people in here. So anyway, any other points, anything you want to make before we wrap this one up, my friend?
No, it's honestly one of the most exciting weeks for the NFL. So we'll see you next Thursday, and it's been a good time tonight.
Okay. Sounds good, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This has been the Extra Point Podcast. Have a great evening.